Good afternoon. Today is the 3rd of January. I'm trying a new way of recording sound, and welcome to the first very vague vlog of 2025. Obviously, you'll be seeing this, most of you, a few weeks after this is recorded. So, something that happened towards the end of last year was I was reminded of something that's very, very important if you're selling a second-hand car privately, and that is a car buying service and what car buying service you should use. We're specifically going to be focusing this video on WeBuyAnyCar, which is by far the best known car buying service in this country. Now, they're not an independent company. They're owned by a company called BCA, British Car Auctions, who own Cinch and, of course, British Car Auctions themselves. So they actually do have a kind of endless cycle of cars they can get. They get cars, traded into them at WeBuyAnyCar. They can sell them online at Cinch, which is a similar service to what Kazoo used to be. Actually, Kazoo, it's really interesting. Kazoo has come back and it's got its own YouTube channel. I don't quite know what Kazoo actually is now. Someone's bought the name, and I think it is supposed to be some kind of car buying platform like Auto Trader or something. But I've seen some adverts of their reviews on YouTube, and I don't know, maybe I should have a look at some of them at some point, because we used to talk about Kazoo a lot, didn't we? But anyway, Cinch, which is basically what Kazoo used to be, and then BCA auctions, where they would sell a lot of the cars that would be traded into WeBuyAnyCar. WeBuyAnyCar, of course, has very, very prominent adverts. I remember the day when my lady wife came in singing the theme tune to WeBuyAnyCar. So it obviously gets into people's minds, and there's a couple of examples I just want to use of what has happened to people I know when they've been using this service. I suspect many of you who are watching this video are straight away thinking, we know about WeBuyAnyCar. Why are you telling us this? You're talking to the wrong sort of people. And well, actually I am, because the sort of people who tend to use WeBuyAnyCar aren't people who are car enthusiasts. They're people who don't know really what to do. They don't know how to get rid of a second-hand car that they don't need anymore. And the way it works is quite easy in terms of getting a price for the car. You think that you're going to get paid, and think you're going to get paid is something we'll get back to in a little while. So the first example was many, many years ago. This happened in London. There was a colleague of my lady wife who was selling, I think it was a Toyota Yaris. It's an old Toyota Yaris, a Mark 1 Yaris. This is years ago now. And WeBuyAnyCar gave her a price for what she thought she would get approximately for her car. Now, do bear in mind, whenever you do get a quote from WeBuyAnyCar, they do actually give you terms and conditions as to what will happen. It's not, completely out of extraordinary then what happens, because they do tell you this. But yeah, she was sort of shocked when they offered her about £50 for her Yaris. This was before all the second-hand car prices went crazy. This is about 2019, I think it was. But £50, it's not a lot of money. And obviously there's reasons for that. You've got to pay the staff at WeBuyAnyCar to value the car, website, or whatever. They have costs and things like that. But that, even in those days, £50 wasn't a lot of money for a car with an MOT, which the Yaris had. Fast forward to 2024. This is something that I heard somebody tell in a group setting. Now, bear in mind, this gentleman, he's not into cars. He was tasked with selling a friend's car. The friend wasn't able to drive the car anymore. He wasn't able to sell the car anymore. And the chap who was talking in this group setting, which wasn't about cars or anything, it's about something else, but this happened to come up. He said that the particular car, I don't know what the car was. Maybe it's not relevant or anything. The car needed to be sold to get some money. The chap who couldn't drive anymore, and WeBuyAnyCar gave an approximate valuation, I think, of about £800 to £900 on the car. And he thought, well, that sounds okay. We'll get some money for this chap. Didn't need a car anymore. He went down to WeBuyAnyCar, and guess what he got for it? No, you're wrong. £200. £200. Not a great sale price, but the thing is, he just had to take it because he didn't really want to sell the car privately. He didn't really know how to do that, and I understand why someone doesn't want to sell a car privately. I don't like selling cars privately, and in fact, actually, I've very rarely done it in the last 5 years. What I tend to do is contact one of my trade contacts, some of whom you will already know, Lee from NSB Car Sales, Thatcham, or some from Lanny Prestige in Colchester. I tend to straight away say, I've got this car, would you possibly be interested in it? So I that's what I do if I've got a car to sell. I will ask them straight away because they'll be able to give me a price, and sometimes I ask them if they're able to help out. But he didn't obviously know that. He doesn't have any trade contacts. He's not into cars or anything, just doing it to help out, really. And it's just a classic thing I've heard every single time we buy any car. These two examples of my own experience of what I've heard, but I'm sure you've heard this so many times. Look at a channel like Chop's Garage, James from Chop's Garage, who's down in North Devon. He talks about this sort of thing all the time. People who have gone to WeBuyAnyCar, they think they're going to get a good price of the car, they don't possibly read the terms and conditions quite thoroughly enough, and they get offered some derisory sum of money for the car. And he is very keen to sort of say that I will match or beat a WeBuyAnyCar price, because the car is actually going straight into the trade. In that way, he can sell it if he wants. He can pass it on to another trader if it's not his sort of thing. Use it as a loan car, whatever he wants. Whereas WeBuyAnyCar will just send the car probably to auction. If it's a nicer car, they might give it over to Cinch, or might offer it into trade that way. But there are obviously lots of little local independent dealers out there. I've just mentioned a couple of them who I have contacts with and who I tend to use. But I would just encourage you, if you know someone who needs to sell their car, they don't want to sell it privately, which I completely understand. Then if you know kind of a trustworthy independent local dealer, I would get them to value it. That's what I would do. If you live locally to any of these places I've mentioned, particularly something like Chop's Garage, I know that Joe from Shifting Metal at Berrow Motors at Burnham-on-Sea, which is in Somerset, he's also very keen on this as well. He often takes in cars like that from local people who need to get rid of them. By all means, try one of these people if you're local to the area, or just a local independent who you trust. It's just a bit better than WeBuyAnyCar, and it's very unlikely that they'll kind of get this massive shock and surprise you get if you put your details in and suddenly they say, well, you haven't got a full service history on your 20-year-old Ford Focus. Some of the tyres aren't like Continental brands. You've got some scuffs on there. There's a little bit of rust at wheel arch, and therefore we're going to give you £100. Yeah, but if you've been offered a price then of £600, £100 on that car, then you're going to be very disappointed when you turn up, and then you feel obliged when you're there with the member of staff to actually take the money because you maybe you're desperate or something. But if there's any way that you could tell people about this who might be in a position to want to sell a car, then I would suggest that is something that you do. I don't know what it is. If the motorway, I see motorway advertised a lot as well, another car buying service who purport to be kind of like a middleman between you and a dealer. I don't know if that works any better. WeBuyAnyCar is a little bit different. They have their own way of disposing of it anyway. But that's it. So if you have any kind of experience of this particular thing, either with WeBuyAnyCar or motorway or any other car buying service, then please do let me know in the comments section below, because I'd be really intrigued to hear your stories about this kind of thing. But that's it for this time. Thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, and leave a comment below. And we shall see you again soon for some more very vague and possibly actually, for once, relevant music.